Hey guys, Old Man Sinner here, and today I'm making some blueberry wine. Winemaking was something I found interesting for a long time now, but the thought of actually doing it was really daunting for me. That's why I'm so happy to finally be able to show you all my finished product and how I made it. First thing was picking the blueberries.
Smile.
I'm using the North Mountain Supply 1-gallon winemaking kit. It comes with enough supplies to make 15 gallons of wine. The only other things you'll need to get are the fruit and the wine bottles, which you'll need 5 wine bottles per gallon. These are the items we'll need for our primary fermentation. We have a food grade 1-gallon bucket, which is going to be our primary fermenter. This is a hydrometer, which is going to help us track where we are in our fermentation process. And we also use this to find out how much alcohol is in our wine at the very end. I'll go into more details on how to use a hydrometer and what these scales are on it a little later in the video. This is a wine thief, and just like the name suggests, it helps us steal wine from our batch so we can fill up our hydrometer tube. This is a straining bag. After we juice our fruit, we're going to drop the pulp into this bag and then put the whole thing into our batch. The recipe book that comes with this kit is really cool. It has recipes for all the common country wines you'd want to make and some of the not so common wines like turnip, tomato, and onion wines. I'm of course using the blueberry wine recipe. This is an acid blend which contains 3 different fruit acids: citrus acid, malic acid, and tartaric acid. This is used to raise the acidity of the wine and give it a little bit more tartness. This is pectic enzyme. This contains proteins that help break down the pectin cells in the wine and prevent pectin haze, which gives the wine a cloudy color. This is yeast energizer, which contains nutrients and a few other components that kickstart the yeast and help it reproduce more quickly. It can also be used to restart a stuck fermentation. These are Camden tablets, which are added to the juice to sterilize it. It releases a mild sulfur gas that kills any bacteria that could spoil your batch. It's also added right before bottling to kill any surviving yeast and to prevent the wine from spoiling. Finally, we have One Step. This is an oxygen sanitizing wash for your equipment and your bottles, which is non-toxic and doesn't need to be rinsed. To use, mix 1 tablespoon of One Step with a gallon of warm water and soak anything that will come in contact with the juice for at least 2 minutes. This is the most important part of your process and should be remembered at every step. If bacteria gets into your wine and starts growing, it could ruin your entire batch. Put 2 pounds of blueberries in a bowl and give them a quick rinse to remove any leaves or stems. Then go ahead and juice your berries. Then add the juice to your primary fermenter. Collect the pulp from your juicer and put it inside your straining bag. Tie out the bag and drop the whole thing inside your fermenter along with the juice. Add 7 pints of water, 1 3/4 pound sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons acid blend, a half teaspoon pectic enzyme, half teaspoon yeast energizer, 1 crushed Camden tablet. Then stir everything up and make sure all the sugar is fully dissolved. Before we put the lid on our fermenter and let the Camden tablet sterilize the juice, we're going to test our batch with the hydrometer to see how much sugar is currently in it. The basic idea of a hydrometer is that it floats higher if the liquid being tested is heavier and it floats lower if it's lighter. Because sugar is heavier than water, the higher the hydrometer floats, the more sugar is in your batch. So it'll float highest at the beginning of the process when the sugar is at its highest, and it'll float lowest at the end when most of the sugars in your wine have been converted into alcohol. There are 3 common scales listed on your hydrometer: specific gravity, potential alcohol, and the Brick scale. Specific gravity is the most common scale used by home winemakers and is a scale you'll see listed in most home wine recipe books. It revolves around the weight of the water, so if you place a hydrometer in just plain water, its SG reading will be 1. At the beginning, when your batch is full of sugar, it should be around 1.070 and 1.100, depending on the recipe and the type of wine you're making. At the end of the process, when most of your sugar is converted into alcohol, the SG reading should be below 1.000, which is a little less than water because alcohol is lighter than water. The potential alcohol shows you how much alcohol could be made from the amount of sugar that's currently in your batch. So my reading right now is around 10% potential alcohol, which means if all the sugar that's in the batch right now get converted into alcohol, my finished wine would be 10% alcohol. That's why we take readings at the beginning and the end of our process, so we can accurately calculate the alcohol in our finished wine. We do this by subtracting the last reading from our first reading and see how much alcohol was produced. So if you have 13% potential alcohol at the start and 1% potential alcohol at the end, your wine is 12% alcohol. The brick scale is another common scale that's used in winemaking, but it's used more by the grape growers and professional wineries, though you may see it come up if you're reading more advanced wine recipe books. The brick scale measures the percentage of sugar by weight in a liquid and goes from 0 to 30. So if the grape juice measures a 20 on the brick scale, the grower knows that it contains 20% sugar, and from there can determine if the grapes are ready for harvest or not. Take a reading with your hydrometer, take your sterilized wine thief, and fill the hydrometer tube with your wine. Place the hydrometer in the tube and give it a spin to make sure it's not touching any of the sides. Read the hydrometer at the overall surface line of the batch. You'll see the liquid curve up a little bit on the sides of the hydrometer, and if you read at the very tip of that, it'll give you a false read. If you determine after your test that you want your finished product to have a higher alcohol percentage, you can dissolve 1/2 cup of sugar at a time to your batch to bring up the potential alcohol reading. Go ahead and put the lid on your fermenter, fill the airlock half full, and attach it to the lid. After 24 hours, the gas produced by the Camden tablets have left the juice and it should be sterilized and ready for the yeast. This packet of dry wine yeast has enough live yeast cells to produce 5 gallons of wine. To use it, empty the packet into 1/4 cup of warm water, stir it until it's dissolved, and then let it sit for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, mix it into your batch and then put the lid in the airlock back on.
Nope.
After about 24 hours of the yeast being added to the batch, you should start seeing some activity from your airlock. This means that your yeast has been multiplying and are hard at work converting the sugar into alcohol. If everything goes right, most of the sugar in your wine will be converted into alcohol within this first week. After 5 to 7 days, we're ready to rack our wine, which means that we're just going to transfer the wine from our primary fermenter to our glass secondary fermenter. The main reason for doing this step is to transfer the clean wine at the top of the fermenter from the sediment at the bottom of the fermenter, which is mostly just dead yeast cells and leftover fruit pulp. Grab your glass carboy, your hydrometer, your siphon, and your siphon hose. Make sure you sanitize any piece of equipment that will come in contact with your wine with your oxygen wash. You can wash the siphon and the siphon hose by pumping the oxygen wash through the hose back into the carboy. Remove the straining bag and give it a squeeze. Again, the main reason why we're racking the wine is to separate the clear wine from the sediment at the bottom of the bucket, so try not to disturb that sediment too much while you're getting it ready for racking. Take a quick hydrometer reading just to see where we're at in the fermentation process. We're currently at about 1.30 specific gravity, which is pretty good since we started at about 1.070. Once you get your reading, don't dump your test wine back into the fermenter because it might contain unwanted bacteria. Instead, I like to use this as a chance to try the wine at different stages of the fermentation. It'll be a lot sweeter at this point and a lot drier once we're finished. To use the siphon properly, you'll need to have the container that you're siphoning from higher than the container that you're siphoning into. I didn't figure that out at this point, so I just kept pumping, which got more sediment into my carboy than I wanted. Once you're done racking the wine, attach the rubber bung in the airlock to the mouth of the carboy. The second fermentation takes about 4 to 6 weeks. It takes a little bit longer than the first fermentation because as the sugar in the wine decreases and the alcohol content rises, it makes it harder for the yeast cells to survive. Add a date label to your carboy so you know when to check your wine. After about 4 weeks, you should see the bubbles in your wine slow down almost completely to a stop. Take another hydrometer reading. If the specific gravity is below 1.000, you're ready to start the next step. If it's not there yet, give it a few more days. Mine right now is about 0.990, so I'm ready to go. Once the secondary fermentation is done, rack the wine one more time into your sanitized bucket, again trying to leave as much of that sediment in the carboy as you can. Stir in 1 crushed Camden tablet along with a half a teaspoon of potassium sorbate to kill the yeast and to prevent it from fermenting again inside the bottles. If you choose to sweeten your wine, be prepared to wait an additional 3 to 4 weeks with it sealed in your fermenter. This is to make sure no fermentation starts back up again. I think this wine tastes fantastic being on the drier side, so I'm just going to go ahead and bottle it right now. Gather all the equipment you'll need to bottle your wine and sanitize all of it, even your corker. Soak your corks in a sanitizing wash before bottling. This will not only sterilize them, but will also make them expand just a little bit and make a better seal. Siphon the wine into your sanitized bottles, leaving about 3/4 of an inch between the wine and the cork. Go ahead and load your corker with the cork and make sure the lip of the corker fits center and tight against the mouth of the bottle. Work slow and make sure the hands of the cork are attached to the neck of the bottle to brace it. Then press down firmly and centered. The North Mountain kit also comes with these shrink wrap capsules, which give your bottles a very professional look. Just slip them on the tip of your bottle and then run a hairdryer or a heat gun over it to shrink it. The plastic will be flush against the neck of the bottle when you're done.